Hello, viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Enoch Generation, a generation that walks with God. In the last two episodes, you've been listening to the childhood days of Pastor George, and he's been sharing with us the pain, the agony, the suffering that went on in his life and in the lives of the near and dear ones just because of the plot of the wicked one. And now he would continue his journey and tell us about how, where, and when he met Jesus. It's nice to have you with us, Pastor. It was nice listening to, the story about you as a child and how the evil one was always against you and your mother, trying to, destroy the family. So from there, how did Jesus enter into this scene?
Very interesting, sister. Thank you very much once again. And it's nice to see wonderful people of God listening to the story of a person whom God met. And that's encouraging to every one of us.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. Now, as the days passed by, and it was at that time, as I told in the last episode, when my mother was mentally wrecked, slowly came off. I thought for a while that this was just a passing cloud in our family. That's how we can think. Some unpleasant, some bad dream. Okay, leave it. But I remember it is third day after this incident. One day when my mother was cooking in the kitchen and I was there with her, and somehow she started behaving in a different way. Then I could understand immediately that she was getting back into that previous episode. I said, Mommy, what is happening? No, something happening. Somebody asking me to hit you. Somebody asking me to go to the streets naked and fall in a pond. Huh? What's happening? I said, Mommy, be cool. And by then I knew how to handle her also because of the last episode. Then somehow I put her back into her seat. And there's something interesting that happened in my life, in my college life, which I should share it with you. But for that incident, I wouldn't have encountered Jesus. I was a day scholar, so going from home to college. And one day, the principal was coming very close to his office. He was coming in his car, and all on a sudden, nearly about 1,000 students, 1,000 or something like that, a big mob, came to the road, and they wanted to go on an agitation. Some demands. And the principal car was there. They stopped that car, and they were raising slogans. And they were asking principal to come out of it. And at that point of time, I was cycling and then going to that street and knew that something wrong. I was watching. While the principal just came out, some fellow from the hostel, he brought a can of kerosene or petrol or whatever it is. And one fellow brought a tube to siphon the petrol from the car. He siphoned it and then put it on the top, that is the roof of the car. And somebody threw some petrol or so, and one fellow just lit it.
Oh my God.
That was a brand new ambassador car. And principal, somehow he sneaked into the crowd, and he entered into his office while his car was burning right in the middle of the road.
Oh my God.
I saw that. The car was ablaze. I saw that. And at the back of it, the transport corporation buses, they were coming, commuting buses were coming. And these fellows, they were in an angry mood, They were jeering that they have achieved something. And they just entered into a quarrel with the conductors and drivers. They went away. They returned back, and then they brought 2 or 3 buses fully loaded with lethal weapons from the workshop. And with the rods protruding on the outside, they tied from the window. rods protruding outside, and the tide, and this, the driver fast is entering into the mob of the students. What will happen with the big rods
Oh my God.
from the window outside? They wanted to somehow enter into a fight because they have insulted them. And on seeing that, the students, they just dispersed. And again, big quarrel with the corporation, transport corporation. So it escalated. And on seeing all these things, I just took a U-turn and then ran away home. That's all. Because I never used to involve. And a few of my colleagues, students were arrested, police case, and so many things. And some of my students even lost their degree because of that. Yeah, the police never permitted them to continue, finish, their life was over. So I had to. Now what happened, I used to be a lover of mathematics. That's my sweet subject. So my mathematics professor used to teach me so well that I fell in love with the mathematics as well as with my professor.
So he made the class that interesting.
Wow. Even a dull muff can score 100 out of 100. My God, he is some Iyer, he used to call some Iyer, I forgot. Wonderful mathematician. And now, because of this strike, principal went to his office and then he declared indefinite closure of the college.
Okay.
So the whole semester is out. I was upset because I have to study now, mathematics and all this. I lost all these classes. So I went to this. This is a turning point. So I went to my professor, Dr. Krishnamurthy, my chemistry professor. We used to have a forum and we used to discuss all religious things. And I told him, sir, you know what happened? And Dr. Krishnamurthy is a faculty of that college only,
college also.
my department only. Then he said, sir, what to do? Don't worry. I will take you, I will go to a person, our own professor, Dr. Shankar Iyer. He is the best man to teach you mathematics. He is a busy person. If he denies, if he says no, come to me. So faithfully I went to sir, and sir said, no, I am very busy. I cannot take classes on a low level. Very sorry. Because he used to handle CA, Chartered Accountants, and that kind of a professor. Then next day morning I went to sir's house, Krishnamurthy sir's house. Sir, as you said, our sir said that way. All right. Now I am going to take you to a place very nearby only, a professor. And while we were going, Dr. Krishnamurthy was preparing me to behave properly with this professor. You know how it is very interesting. And while we were going, the Dr. Sir, Krishnamurthy sir said, you should be very careful. I said, for what? I'm going to learn maths only. What is it I'm going to be careful? No, he is a Christian. So the next immediate question I asked, will he convert me? Dr. Krishnamurthy got angry. He said, you fellow with this loose tongue, just as you spoke to me, don't speak to that gentleman, he said. I said, what is so great in it? Come on, tell me, sir. Hey, he is living because of Jesus Christ. Do you know? He said, Dr. Krishnamurthy, by his name you can understand who he was. And an associate of Dr. Krishnamurthy, Ramana, you know who I am. So I used to think, why this gentleman said that way? I said, okay, sir. Then he took me to that professor's place. He was unmarried at that time. And he welcomed us. And he said, I'll take him, no worry. So as the days passed by, 2 months passed away. And suddenly, I think in the evening, I believe 8 o'clock or 7:30, I believe. I don't exactly remember. He just put his pen down and looked at me and said, Ramana, I want to talk to you about the meaning of life. He said, what is it you are going to speak to me, sir? Say, tell me, sir. Then he told a story that shook me like anything. He was not a Christian by birth, and he was involved in religious activities. He used to go to the ground and used to wear half pants and used to do this drill and all that. ek do theme like that. And very strong religious man and anti-Christian. I think viewers may even know from the way I'm talking to which group probably he was belonging to. Anti-Christian. If somebody gives a tract, a piece of paper about Jesus Christ, finished. He will tear into pieces. Good that if he doesn't tear the face of the person. I think you can understand what kind of a man he was. But this man was having a hole in his heart.
Okay.
And skin diseases. And a very strong believer of his own faith. Okay, it's okay. And you know what happens this when a person has a hole like this, the impure blood goes and mixes with the pure blood. So you see the carbon dioxide in the place of where oxygen is supposed to be there, carbon dioxide goes there. So cells get tired and they swoon. But he was a mathematics from Madras University, a postgraduate, gold medalist. What and all is there in the timetable of God? I don't know how he chatted out. But he used to have this problem. And he wanted to commit suicide. Very, very interesting. And one day he came to Chennai. That was Madras at that time. He came to Madras and then he hired a room in a lodge, and he somehow with this mental state, because he became pagal. He became upset, mentally upset also, like my mother. Upset, and then he just entered into the room, locked inside, and he wanted to somehow commit suicide. He wanted to find out the means and the ways by which he can do that. And suddenly there was a voice from heaven. And that voice said, "My son, I am the Lord who formed you in your mother's womb. And my name is Jesus Christ the Lord. You do not know me, but I know you. And I know that you do not like me. It's all right, but I love you." The moment he heard that voice, he got healed from his mental wreck. He became clean.
Wow, instantaneous.
Instant, second. And he was so afraid that this man was filled with such a fear that he entered down into the cot, and thinking that somebody is there in this room. Somebody is there in this room. And nearly 15 minutes he was under the cot.
In fear.
In fear. And after 15 minutes, slowly crawling out. He was looking all around. Nobody was there. What's this? Second time the voice came. He was trembling with the fear. And the second time voice said like this, "Receive my healing."
Wow.
And he checked with his breath. I'm able to breathe properly. And a quick physical transformation that he could experience. Not feeling, but it's an experience. And he completely healed skin diseases, mental wreck, the hole in the heart and all. He was energetic, like fresh oxygen coming inside. Like how the people who finish the dialysis, how once the pure blood comes inside, how they will be like that. Then he went out and checked with his doctor, the old report and the new report. The doctor could not understand and said, "I don't find any sort of things that was recorded in the old. What happened? Tell me." "Sir, this and all happened." Then the doctor said, "You had a divine visitation. There is no doubt in it. Follow the voice and God who spoke to you. Go away," he said. "Simply follow him. Go away. Don't come to me," he said. "I cannot understand this phenomena. I cannot understand this." So, and in that voice, the Lord told one more thing. He was in Chennai. Those days Madras. "Go to a place called Karaikudi. Just as God spoke to Saul, who became Paul. Go to a street called and there you will find Ananias. In the same way, go to a place called Karaikudi. And this man, he came to Karaikudi knowing nothing about the town, knowing nothing. And he took a room for rent, and that room was, that street was just 4 or 5 streets away from our home.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't know that there was a candidate like this, nor did he know that there is a fellow by name Ramana living here. So what happened?
So it all sounds like divine orchestration.
Sister, it is something like a story. What it is, divine story. So what happened? He got employment in one of the engineering colleges, Alapa Chettiar Engineering College in Karaikudi. It's a very famous, famous college. And then he became the lecturer there in 10A1 scheme. And now he was just in the house. Dr. Krishnamurthy is taking me to his house. And he he dropped his pen down for a while, and then he narrated all that which I told you now.
But how did you react to this? It would have been like a big story to you.
I was listening and listening for nearly 1.5 hours, listening to me. Various things were going in my mind, not one or two. Then I started, I opened my mouth and I started asking him questions. Sir, thank you for sharing. In my itihas, in my books, etc., which I don't want to go deep into it, this is written like this. It is written like this. It written like. In Sanskrit, we read like this. In temples, we are taught this way. Where is the correlation between what you say and this? Believe me, sister, and believe me, viewers, for nearly 1.5 hours, I was arguing with this gentleman. But he used to smile, never used to give me any answer. That was to my great disappointment.
If he had, it would have triggered you to have a bigger debate with him.
Naturally. So he never used to answer me. I never said even a word. And finally, I was exhausted. And I came to the last point, last question. It's okay, I have the satisfaction of asking him, and he didn't tell me anything. It's all right. But one question. Sir, my mother is just waiting to commit suicide. I said, you who say so much of miracles you have experienced is all because of Jesus Christ. I never knew his name. I didn't want to know his name. But you say that. And your background is also such that you never wanted to have Christ in your heart. All right. Will your Jesus help my mother? That was the same thing I asked. Even today I remember. Then he said, that Jesus Christ, who came to my rescue, who helped me, will help your mother also, I said. And that made me shut my mouth. And finally he said, we will pray. But he didn't pray and send me. And he said, we'll see tomorrow in the class. That's all. So I went out of his house, and while I was just cycling and going, my imagination, my mind started thinking so serious about what he said. And when I went to my house, I met my mother. She used to be very puny, grief-stricken face, and physically unsound, mentally, never used to have sleep all through the night, BP, high BP. You would be surprised if I say that I would take my mother on my cycle back 4 days or 5 days after coming from the college, refresh, and then take my mother and back of the cycle and go to the doctor 4 days or sometimes 5 days a week.
Okay, so it was like every day you had to
Almost
commute
every day. If one day is free, I would be happy. Apart today, there is no job. And the doctor one day, he said that your mother has come to such a condition that she will not live more than 2 months. He said, he gave some tablet and said, no, sorry, she may not live. Just 2 months only. He gave the deadline. Just look at the situation wherein I was.
So it was like you heard something, you don't know whether that is true. You want to check it out, but at the same time, there are so many things that are running in your mind, wondering, will this Jesus listen to you, or is this Jesus really true? So viewers, you've been listening to Pastor George, and how God was literally, giving him a push towards him. And ultimately, even when he heard about the goodness of Jesus, he was not in a position to believe it or take it. But yet, there were other things that were running in his mind, that somehow his mother needs to be saved. But the doctors had given her a deadline of just 2 months. So we will wait till the next episode to see how God interfered in the life of his mother as well. Till then, it's a goodbye and God bless.